So we have an interesting match that's been announced for No Surrender on February 13, and it's the first ever Triple Threat Revolver match. This will involve Daivari, Suicide, Willie Mack, Ace Austin, Trey Miguel, Chris Bay, Josh Alexander, and Blake Christian, with the winner becoming the #1 contender for the X Division Championship. Now, this is the way it's been described by Impact Wrestling, because it's certainly interesting. We're going to break it down. So this is what it says on their official website for No Surrender. It says, quote, "Do you love triple threat matches? Well, then the Triple Threat Revolver is for you, because on February 13th at No Surrender, Trey Miguel, Chris Bay, Josh Alexander, Blake Christian, Ace Austin, Willie Mack, Suicide, and Daivari will compete in one of the most unique and action-packed matches in pro wrestling. 3 competitors start the match. When one is pinned or submitted, another will enter the fray. The triple threat matches continue until there are no more entrants, in which the final pinfall or submission will earn the victor a shot at the X Division Championship." So it's certainly an interesting concept. It's essentially a gauntlet match, but merging it with a triple threat match, I guess, in that 3 people are going to start, and then someone gets pinned, and then the next person comes in, and the next person comes in, and the next person comes in, until there's no one left, and then whoever wins that final triple threat match, if you will be the #1 contender for the X Division Championship. So essentially, we're going to see a lot of triple threat matches at No Surrender in this one. I would also think this one's probably going to last a while. I mean, I know there's going to be 3 people in the ring at one time, but if you've got 3, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are going to come in. So that certainly, could potentially take a long, long time. I mean, those gauntlet matches historically, in the likes of WWE when they've done them, they can last like an hour. So potentially we could see a situation where this one at No Surrender, a bit like those other gauntlet matches, lasts like an hour or something like that. If that is the case, then you know what, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I know a lot of people are very quick to poo-poo certain nuke match concepts, and frankly, if pro wrestling's been around for so long at this point, it's hard to innovate. It's hard to do different match types, and historically, especially in the last sort of 10 or 15 years, every time they've tried to introduce a new match type, this is an Impact specific, this is wrestling specific, a lot of the times the matches don't necessarily work out so well. Sometimes they do, but a lot of the times it's pretty difficult to innovate nowadays. Nevertheless, I'm willing to give this one a chance. I do think there's potential there. I like the gauntlet matches. I love the gauntlet matches. I love when WWE does them, for whether it's for Elimination Chamber or #1 contenders for championships as well. We saw one recently on SmackDown. I love that. I always enjoy it when they do it for the Elimination Chamber as well. Why? Because essentially what you get 60 minutes worth of wrestling. And if you tell the story correctly, you can do something that is really, really unique and specific to a gauntlet match. Usually it's one person starting off and then just going through loads of people, potentially all the way to the end, that kind of deal, doing the sort of Iron Man performance and the sort of against all odds performance, a little TNA pun there as well. But something like that can be a lot of fun. Can you do it with a triple threat kind of format? I suppose you can. You just have 2 people doing the Iron Man format instead of 1 person. So I'm interested. I'm interested to see how they pull it off. I'm happy about it for a variety of reasons, because if you've seen me on the channel before talking specifically about the X Division, I felt last year, especially towards the end of last year, but for a period of time last year, it just felt like with everything that was going on in Impact at the time, the people returning, the debuts, the AEW Impact relationship, all the stuff that was going on during that period of time, the X Division just didn't feel like a priority sometimes. And I think the thing that was frustrating to me as a longtime fan of Impact Wrestling was that the X Division is one of the cornerstones of Impact Wrestling. It's one of the things that has made Impact Wrestling so unique over the years, right? It was the thing that really differentiated TNA Wrestling from other promotions like WWE, etc. In its early infancy. And it just felt like for a period of time last year that it just wasn't as important as it should be. And that was for a variety of reasons. I think, as I mentioned, there was a lot going on. I think influx of talent either moving to the main event or leaving the company or what have you. It just felt like it wasn't as important, or it wasn't as high up on the card or the show as it should be. We should be getting back to a position in the same way that it is with the Knockouts division in Impact Wrestling, whereby X Division matches are main eventing the shows or main eventing pay-per-views. Just because it isn't a world championship in the sense of like a heavyweight world championship doesn't mean it can't main event shows, or doesn't mean you can't do something special with it. And I felt like the best way to get it back to the place that it needed to be in terms of the X Division was bring in more stars, which they've done, and just give it that greater spotlight. Give it more time on television, put it back into main events, make it the featured part of certain shows. And in fairness to Impact Wrestling, I don't know if they watch the channel or not, but that's what they've done in 2021. And I think it's been a conscious effort by Impact Wrestling to do that this year so far. Because look at what we've seen so far already in 2021 when it comes to the X Division. You've got the Super X Cup returning. You've got this match as well, which I'm guessing is going to go at least half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that. The spotlight is back to being where it should be when it comes to the X Division Championship. And frankly, look at the field. Look at the field here. I mean, this is a strong field that really excites me, because not only have we got some fantastic wrestlers here, we've really got a hybrid of styles here that really interests me. You've got the likes, so let's go through them. You've got Daivari, who former X Division champion, Sheikh Abdul Bashir, back in the heyday of TNA wrestling. I really like him in the X Division, and I really liked him being the X Division champion way back when in 2008, because he's not your typical X Division wrestler in the sense that, is Daivari high flying? No, not really. I mean, he is just nuts and bolts, solid pro wrestler, very solid fundamentally in the ring. Of course, a ton of experience. Every time you see him, he looks like he's in better shape than he was before. He's got a ton of experience, as I mentioned. I think this is the kind of name I think they needed to bring into the X Division, because they were just so light on talent that you need to bring in people like Daivari just to flesh out the X Division in general. So I'm happy that Daivari's in there. Suicide, I don't even know who's playing Suicide at this point. Does anyone know? You can let me know in the comment section below, actually, who's actually playing Suicide. But the Suicide characters, every time I see him, because obviously this is when he was introduced, I think back to that, was it Midway TNA Impact game, which, by the way, I mean, this is a massive side point and sidebar here, but that TNA Impact game, I had it on Xbox 360 when I was younger. What a game. I mean, honestly, way ahead of its time. Way ahead of its time. That game was unbelievable. The graphics on that game are seriously good. Seriously good. And I feel almost spoiled with that, to be honest, because growing up during my generation, we had some unbelievable pro wrestling games. We really did. We had all of the SmackDown series, the SmackDown vs. Raw series. We had TNA Impact as well, which was such a great game. And obviously, as you get a bit older, you kind of fall back on the wayside a little bit when it comes to pro wrestling games. So I haven't really been around the sort of more modern pro wrestling games. But from what I can see on social media and I see on YouTube, like the last, 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer, when it comes to WWE games, those 2K games have been terrible. And I look at it and go, I was just so lucky. Obviously, I was so lucky growing up to have those kind of just quality games. And TNA Impact, man, what a game! If you've never seen it, if it was a bit, if that's a bit too old for you or whatever, because I know I have quite a young audience on the channel here, be sure to YouTube it, because you won't be disappointed, because you'll look at that and you'll say, whoa, did that come in the last few years? It came out in like 2008. It's an unbelievable game. It's such a good game. So be sure to check that out. So I always just get, flashbacks when I see Suicide of how great that game was, and the Suicide character when he was first introduced, right? His entrance when he used to fly into the impact zone on that wire. They had this cool camera angle and he would fly in, bounce off the ropes. It was awesome. It was awesome. And I think he was played initially by Christopher Daniels. I think for a period of time he was played by Kaz as well, Kazarian. I don't know who plays him now. Obviously before it was TJP when he turned into Manic, but Manic's a different guy and he's TJP now. I don't know. I don't know when it comes to Suicide anymore. We've got Willie Mack in that match as well. I was a big fan of having Willie Mack as the X Division champion last year, because Willie Mack to me as X Division champion symbolizes exactly what the X Division is. That you've got this guy who, if you treat it like a cruiserweight division, Willie Mack's not going to be involved because of the weight, obviously. But Willie Mack can arguably compare him to anyone in this match. He can high fly with the best of them. He can powerhouse with the best of them. He's just an unbelievable athlete that can do things that you just can't imagine he would be able to do. I really enjoyed him as X Division champion. Of course, he's coming off that feud with Moose, which technically the I Quit match he won. So you would think maybe they continue the momentum there. I don't know. But I'm glad to see Willie Mack back involved with the X Division, because I just think that's such a good role for him. Such a good role for him, because he just personifies everything that the X Division should be. It's not about, it's the cliche, isn't it? It's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. It's about bringing a hybrid of different styles to the table and just wowing people, amazing people, and having the best match on the card. And Willie Mack's certainly capable of that. Of course, talking about having the best matches on the card, you've got Ace Austin in there, who I would probably say will win it. Probably, considering he won the Super X Cup tournament, you would think he would probably win it. I don't know, it's maybe a difficult one to judge there, but considering he won the Super X Cup tournament, I'm surprised he didn't just get an X Division Championship opportunity anyway. You would think that's par for the course with winning the Super X Cup tournament at Genesis, but this guy, he's the future of Impact Wrestling. He's just that good. He is just unbelievably good. He's got the look. I don't know how much longer he'd be an X Division wrestler for. As I mentioned, it's not about weight limits, but for a high flyer himself, he's a jacked up guy as well. So I think he'll... it's a matter of time before he becomes world champion. It has to be. I mean, he was in the main event of Slammiversary last year, and he was the last guy eliminated. And at the time, there was all this hype about him becoming the youngest world champion in Impact history. I think that's still possible, but time is rapidly running out on that. There's just so much there. There is so much going for Ace Austin, I think, when it comes to him in Impact Wrestling. So, to be honest, I'd probably pick him to win the match, probably. But there's certainly a load of other guys in this one that could certainly do it. One of them being Trey Miguel. Now, tomorrow, we're going to drop a video about Trey Miguel talking about why he's returned to Impact, because there's a lot to break down as to why Trey Miguel did return, why he turned down WWE, potentially AEW as well. He's been doing a couple of interviews recently, so I want to talk about that tomorrow. But we still don't really have a lot of details about Trey Miguel in terms of what his situation is with Impact right now. As far as I'm aware, he hasn't signed a new contract. I would think he's on the same lines as a Matt Cardona, a James Storm, etc., in the sense that he doesn't have a contract with Impact Wrestling right now. He's just doing it taping by taping, which I think is fine. The fact of having Trey Miguel back in Impact Wrestling is a massive positive. It certainly is a different Trey Miguel, I think, because he doesn't have the comfort blanket of the Rascals there. They're off in NXT doing their MSK thing. So now it's really sink or swim for Trey Miguel, isn't it? And personally, I think he'll swim. I think he's a fantastic talent. I think there's criticism that maybe he's not as strong in terms of promos. I don't think that's accurate. I think he's actually a very strong promo. Watch any of the Treehouse segments. He's very good on the mic. This match at No Surrender will certainly be an indicator of what the plans are for him. If Trey Miguel wins, then he's definitely sticking around for a few more TV tapings at the very least. And maybe a few more TV tapings leads to contracts, short-term deals, who knows. So it certainly is a possibility, but this could just be part of the TV tapings that he attended last time. Chris Bay's also involved in this one. If you've watched the channel before, you know that I'm a huge fan of Chris Bay. I think he's up there with Ace Austin to be the future of Impact Wrestling. I think he's a future world champion. I hope he gets back involved in main events very, very soon. Obviously his bread and butter is the X Division. He's a former X Division champion. But I just felt like he was starting to enter that main event level scene. Of course, he had the match at Final Resolution. I know he did compete for the X Division championship at Hard to Kill, which he was unsuccessful in. Had some unbelievable spots in that match. Some of the cutters he was pulling off were insane. But I just felt like the Final Resolution match was a real step up for him, and I thought he succeeded. I wasn't happy with the build going into it. I thought he should have been built way more strong, and he got a title opportunity by losing, which to me made no sense. But I don't know if I see him necessarily winning this one. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing in the slightest. I think he deserves to be way up in that main event picture right now. Teamed with Moose this past week on Impact. So he's on the fringe. So hopefully we can see some more substantial stuff from him going forward. We've got Josh Alexander in there as well. And Josh Alexander, of course, it's a really interesting time for him right now. Ethan Page is no longer with Impact Wrestling. To be honest, I'm not sure if I saw him really truly competing in the X Division. And again, it's not because he can't. He's a phenomenal wrestler, and I really do like the diversity that he brings in terms of his style into this. Again, it's not all about high flyers. Is Josh Alexander a high flyer? Absolutely not. He's a pure thoroughbred wrestler, and I think in terms of this matchup, that's actually really interesting. I think Josh Alexander facing off against the likes of an Ace Austin or a Chris Bay or a Trey Miguel is really exciting. And frankly, him being the X Division champion, if it helped elevate the X Division, I don't think would be a bad thing. I just think, again, I see him in main events. This is why I felt that it was really important the way they handled Ethan Page's exit from Impact Wrestling, is that they needed to elevate Josh Alexander on the way out. Now, for a variety of reasons, that didn't happen. Rumours about Ethan Page not wanting to do that. My concern with Josh Alexander is after Ethan Page has left, not that he's been in purgatory, but I would have myself as a fan, and if I was an official at Impact, said, you know what, we could have done that better. We could have elevated Josh Alexander on the way out. Now, I still have no doubts Josh Alexander can get there, and I do think he can be eventually an Impact World Champion. Would becoming the X Division Champion help him get there? I mean, why not? I mean, would Josh Alexander right now being the X Division Champion be an improvement over Manic? I think it would. I think it would be a bigger star holding that championship. It would be a statement of intent. Winning the X Division Championship, his first singles championship in Impact. it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Maybe if we want to elevate the X Division, put it on a bigger star, I wouldn't be totally against that. And then Blake Christian's also involved. He was incredibly impressive in the Super X Cup tournament at Genesis. Is there more to come from him? I think so. I think there's a lot of areas to improve in terms of his character, in terms of his pro mobility. That's where he probably needs to work on. But in terms of a match like this, there's no doubt that Blake Christian's going to do some insane, crazy moves that are certainly going to be gifted and played over and over again on social media. So in terms of the match type, you know, the Triple Threat Revolver, Impact have done some wacky matches over there, some incredibly wacky matches, whether it's reverse battle royals, asylum matches, King of the Mountains, Super X, Ultimate X matches and all that kind of stuff. They have done a variety. Electrified steel cages, you name it, they've done the wacky matches over the years. This, by some standards in comparison, some of those there isn't exactly totally wacky. You know, I think it's got potential. I think if it's booked correctly, if they tell a linear story throughout the whole match, if they give it time and give it 45 minutes, maybe even 60 minutes, they can do something really special here and put on a 5-star match, because no doubt the talent involved here is capable. It's just about the execution and whether they fundamentally give it time to work. That would be my concern there, but I'm interested in it, and given the fact that these Impact Plus events, they can kind of do what they want with them, frankly, there's no doubt in my mind they can make this work. So I'm interested, to say the least. But of course, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on the Triple Threat Revolver match for No Surrender Saturday, February 13, with the #1 contender being crowned for the X Division Championship? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, New Japan, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube, get the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or how we come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.